Alright, I just wanted to make a pretty fast basic tutorial on a 2008 Yamaha R1. It's the XC model, which usually would have no relevance except when it comes to clutch. I did purchase the OEM clutch, which people have said in many forums happens to be a very good clutch, and it is, let's see if you can get the part number here. It's not going to play nice. Well, either way, it's a 4C8 W001G00. That's the factory genuine Yamaha clutch plate kit for the 07, 08, and also the 06 limited edition. And it can be a little bit confusing because it does come with extra clutch plates, different sizes. It kind of throws you off because all you need really is, I think it's 8, and so you end up with 3 extra. And you kind of start wondering what's going on. So unless you've done this before, what I have to tell you is probably going to save you some time and some headache. First off, with the XC model, it has no marker anywhere on the clutch boss, basket, anything. There's no marker. So meaning that if you pull your pressure plate here, and you don't mark it anywhere, you know, when it's on, and you don't put let's say a marker and wipe the oil off and mark it up here on the actual top of this clutch basket part, so you can know exactly where it was on before. Because what I found out the hard way is that there's little shims inside. I don't know if you can see, the lighting's pretty bad, but inside a couple of these there's these shims. I thought they were just like a washer, but they're basically just a shim. And as for an expensive camera, it's having some hard times here. See if I can't hold it. Focus on a little here. So there's these little shims, and they're on mine. There was only 4, and as you can see, there's 6 holes. And so I thought, somebody dropped 2 of them and didn't bother replacing them, which isn't the case. I found out later that they are to help basically keep your pressure plate as straight as possible, rather than, you know, a little pushing up higher or lower. Putting pressure on the equal circumference of the plates is key, and that's why those are there. So if you're not dumb like me, you would have already marked your pressure plate while it was still attached before you unhooked it. You would have also marked which spacer was in which slot. Luckily for me, I'm able to look in and kind of see scratch marks where I know that there was a spring pressing against it versus a spacer, since it absorbs the spring's harsh edge. So it's smooth versus a rough swirl mark, so I can tell which ones went where. But the problem is basically it doesn't even matter, since I didn't mark it. I assumed that it was pre-marked and I didn't need to worry about it. So the best practice is, regardless, mark it, and you'll save yourself a headache. Also, one thing you need to know is, if you do have the XC model, all the clutch metal plates, these guys, are all the same size. In the kit, you get all 3. You get one very thinner one, and then 2 thicker ones. This is off my old one. And on the XC models only, you use all the same sized clutch plates. I'll think of that in a second. The ones with the pads will be the same either or, regardless of the model. So just remember that if you have the XC model, you're going to need to remember that. As you can see on this one, hopefully there's a ring around it toward the actual teeth, and that is because this would have been the first clutch spring to actually go clear in the back after that very first. Sorry, it's been a long night. I want to call it a clutch plate, but I think that's what these are. Friction plate. There we go. Sorry about that. It was a brain fart. So the thinner half, it's like half the thickness this way of the regular ones. That really skinny one goes in the first before anything else. Then you're gonna have two metal, small, thin rings. They're kind of like a big washer, kind of, but they're some kind of like a spacer. And the flat one will go on first, and then there's one that's got an angle to it, a slight angle. It's noticeable, and the angle part faces you, and that's how you can see that this clutch plate here has that indent is from that. The pointy part is the part that's rubbing up against this. Also, the factory edge is, I guess, what people call it. Goes. You put it in facing you, whereas the smoother, kind of rounded edge goes in towards the motor. For those that don't know. So that's the basics on that. I believe that's everything I was going to mention. The kit comes with these springs, but I don't know why they have this white paint on them, and I don't know why. It kind of bothers me. The trickiest part that everybody complains about would be this part in the case right here. These have teeth on them, just on that one side, and this the shaft here, it's actually starts there, that hooks up to your actual clutch mechanism. It's what spins it, and if you can see, let's try to get this focused. It spins inside. It's like a gear, and it moves this upwards and downwards depending on if you're pulling the clutch or not, and that's what actually pushes the pressure plate or pulls it out to disengage and engage the clutch. And so this goes on before the pressure plate, and it's going to be a little bit tricky because you kind of have to eyeball it and feel it, and then you also need to understand that this has an arrow on it, pretty visible. Maybe not so much right now because it's hard to focus with just one hand, but it's just right there, right at the bottom of the, I'll point to it, I set it down here, it's just right here. There's an arrow, it's pretty visible. That arrow needs to align with, there's it's a lot more difficult to see, but it's still pretty visible. There's a little dot right in the middle of this circle. By the end of the installation, when everything's said and done, those should be aligned. A lot of the times people start with them aligned, and then when they twist it to engage, they're off by 20 or so degrees, and then they complain of loose lever. Basically, they have to push all the way in just to disengage and engage the clutch. So that's going to be some interesting times. One other thing I wanted to go over was I had wrecked my bike, laid it down, and I got these Vortex rear sets, and pretty much saved my whole bike, besides one fairing that this bolt here, let's see, touched and pushed against the plastic and actually put a hole in it, but I've already actually fixed it and painted it. If you go to colorright.com, they have paint that matches exactly. It's pretty incredible. I think it's like 80 bucks, and you can do like 1 or 2 panels that aren't necessarily too large. It comes with clear coat, everything you need. The other thing too is I thought I'd show you, Vortex has a new oil filter, and I thought it's really awesome. They got it wrapped and sealed, and also the nut, which I have yet to see a motorcycle oil filter have that nut, which is the exact same size as the oil nut for the release. So you don't even have to change your socket or wrench. With mine, the headers are really close, so it's easier to use a wrench for me. But these filters are really convenient, and I like that they're wrapped so that nothing's in them, dust or anything, and the easeability of that nut is very awesome. With the rear sets, it's convenient that I can order just the parts that I need. The part that I broke, well, actually nothing even broke, it just wore down about an inch or so. I'm not sure if I have those laying right here or not, but you can order just the footrest, the lever, which is all I ordered, and I think it was like $30. Rear sets are like $4 to $4.50. If you look up a stock rear set from the factory, which are really super cheap quality, they're almost the same price. I believe it's like $150 or so stock, so it's almost worth it just to pay a little extra if that's the case, because that'll be a very good investment. And as far as I'm making a huge risk, I've always used the Yamaha lube, and I know that some people will criticize that, but it's the 15W50. There we go. And after reading a lot, people are using the Mobil 1 10W40. I'm going to use it. I'm a little bit worried because I live in Utah, where it gets really hot in the summer, but we get snow and it gets to below freezing. I'm just a little bit worried about that. I'd appreciate anybody's opinion that may live in the same climate. I know that oil is kind of a sensitive subject, that everybody's got their own opinion. Anything would be great for me. I'm kind of a little nervous, but I'm going to go for it. And as far as all of that goes, I think that's it. I hope that that covers everything. These just be tightened, the springs, once the plate's on. 7.2 foot-pounds of torque. Don't guess. Use an actual torque wrench, because you do not want to guess with those. That's very specific. You will shorten the life of your clutch if you don't. And I believe I actually did an oil change, and I think it holds just a little over 3 quarts when all is said and done. I hope that this will help you guys save some time and effort. This is the Vortex peg that I ordered. It's just nice. It just replaces. You don't have to buy a whole new set. Very convenient. But as far as it's saving majority of my bike, I'm impressed. The frame's intact. Didn't even get any corners of my seat. Didn't even get the rear passenger peg, the frame. I mean, I'm completely satisfied. Hopefully, I'm trying to think really quick if that covered everything. The main important thing is this very last piece to go in is specific. It'll tell you pretty much on the plastic, and it looks, when it's not oiled up, which mine is, it's been in a bag for a few days since I've been trying to figure this out. You really only need it in for a half hour to an hour. That I didn't mean to leave it in that long. But if these were dry, you'd clearly see the difference in the little the actual grabbing parts, the oh, I don't know what you want to call them, pads or whatnot. So it's kind of easy to tell. Plus the actual metal piece is kind of like a greener color. So that's the only major thing to remember there. And if you do not have the XC model, there should be a dot anywhere along the ridge on the clutch boss. It would be, let's see if I can get in here. I am not good at cameras, so bear with me here. I just want to try to get you guys as much info as I can in a short amount of time. It's not really working out too good, but as you might see, there's these little dots. Let's see where I'm at here. Right here, on every single one, there's these little dots. That's what it'll look like, but only on one of them. And then that's what you would align if you had a mark, which I believe this one, it's supposed to be technically this circle. You would align it with the mark. But safest bet is, like I said before, you get too happy ripping apart the clutch, take your time, mark it, you know, keep track of where your shims are, and you will be good to go. I would still recommend every one that you pull out, you place face down, basically to ensure that if you lose track of something, you can look back and say, okay, I pulled this one out first, this one out second. That's just a fail-proof way of going about it. I so far think this kit is pretty good. It came with its own gasket, so I was pretty happy about that. If you guys have any questions, please ask. I will try my best to get back to you as fast as possible, and leave comments on what you think about the choice of oil that I made. Thanks, guys.